But what actually we mentioned as part of either it is Scrum or Safe, whatever the process that you are selecting, it may be different at the places when you are trying to do the risk management. Let's take one example. If it is Safe way of working, scaled agile, then we will be doing it as part of the PA planning itself. So what we will be doing as part of PA planning? PA planning is the next overall the program increment, what we will be working for next 6 sprints or 3 sprints according to the cadence that is being followed. We will be doing on the day of the PA planning. In this, actually, we will try to identify all the risk and we will roam the risk. Risk roam is nothing but we will try to identify whether all the risk are coming under any of these 4 quadrants. What are these 4 quadrants? R stands for resolve. When we discuss the risk itself, we have got a solution and we resolved it also. But for history purpose, we are capturing that. Next one is wound. You have identified a risk action owner. The owner will be actually keep on working on that with the mitigation plan and try to resolve it. And coming to A, it is accepted. Okay, we accepted that as a risk, that we know that it is a risk and we cannot do anything out of it. We need to live with that. And when it is realized, we may need to think little out of box to mitigate the issue. Maybe we can have some kind of backup plan for that. And coming to M, it is mitigated. So you have the mitigation plan and you have mitigated the risk as well. So these all are the 4 quadrants that we will make. And is this the only set of risk that we need to capture? No. As Mati mentioned, every work item, you need to identify the risk. That is the reason user story estimation is not only about estimating the effort in hours. It is all about estimating with the different things. For example, whether you have dependencies, whether you have risk factors, what is the complexity, what is the effort. With all this cumulative thing of all these factors only will give you the actual estimation in story points. So how we will take care when we identify something as part of user story or any work item? One thing is, it is always well and good in reality not to pick up any item that has risk or dependency. Rather risk, I say it as a dependency. The reason is, if it is realized, then you may not be able to mitigate it in the course of sprint execution. So if I know that there are dependencies or risk, how to manage it, do not wait till that sprint when you want to commit the story. As a Scrum Master, during the refinement meeting, when this risk or dependency has been initiated and identified by the team, start working on the plan, how to resolve the dependency or how to mitigate the risk. Do I have a plan? And during the sprint planning meeting, this is one thing that you should ensure as a part of your DOR. Like my DOR should be something like, my work item that what I'm going to pick should not have any kind of dependencies. Risk is something may or may not happen, but dependency is something that is already available. Like I have a dependency with the platform team. If they are not going to give me on second day, fourth day, I will not even do my work. That means I cannot proceed. I should not proceed actually. So what we need to do is, in that case, we need to say that, no, I am not going to commit on this story. The reason is I will not be able to resolve in 1 or 2 days because it is completely out of my hands and it may not happen from platform team, means I cannot work. So it's okay to park the item till this next sprint. Now, if in case it's a risk, if there is a risk involved in certain things, first thing is you should have a risk mitigation plan. And second thing is, if by chance the risk is realized, you should have a backup plan, like what I will be able to do with the story. For example, there is one more team, for example, they are working on providing some kind of cloud instance for us just to ensure our application may be deployed. Let's take some common example. This is a very common scenario. They are also preparing. It's a team that will be only doing those things. So you cannot say that there is a problem. But always when it is out of your control, always there is a risk factor involved in it. So in that case, if by chance this risk is realized, what will happen? So you should have a backup plan. Do I have, other than this, any instance where I can deploy the application? Or whether my application can go as a without cloud, whether I can still go ahead and install somewhere as an on-prem solution. Do I have some kind of mitigation plan or not? If it is realized, then you should be able to manage it. The reason is this story, you cannot park it for the next sprint. You don't have the option. You need to still somehow manage it. And this is risk, not dependency. It may or may not happen. If in chance the team that is working, they are giving as per the guideline and as per the timeline that they have suggested, no issues are going to happen. If in case they face some kind of challenges and they are unable to manage it, that's the time that risk will be realized, and we should have a mitigation plan. So this is the ongoing part of the uh, sprint execution, you can say. Like how I will be highlighting the stories where these kind of risk factors, all stories may not have this, everything may not have this. So that is the place you should put extra story points. So that's the reason earlier we used to have this traditional way of estimating. We used to estimate only the hours that are required for the whole effort that should be dedicated for that work item to take for closure. But whereas with the way that we are estimating in Agile, it is different, that we use story points. The reason is the story point also include these kind of factors like risk. So this is one of the risk items. So 8 story points for a simple item. So people may be thinking like the functionality seems very simple. What is the effort? Seems simple. Why then 8 story point? The reason is not because of the effort. There is a risk also attached to it. So that gives much more evident feel that there is a risk. This is one section of risk, how we should manage during the course of sprint execution. And uh, when we identify certain risk as part of the refinement, how to manage it. And if we really need to take that story as part of the sprint, how to manage that. These all things should be managed in such a way that we are having some kind of mitigation plan. And this mitigation plan that we should identify from the time that we know that there is a risk attached to this particular item. Now coming to the risk room that I mentioned, this will flow till the entire PA. So for the entire PA of 6 months, so like 6 months, what are the risks that I can even anticipate now in my program? That should come on the board. So every section should be, every risk should be identified and kept in the respective places, and this should be keep on getting visited every now and then, because there will be certainly some changes happening, because some risk would have been realized and we would have taken the mitigation plan, and some thing would have been already resolved and it is taken for closure, and some actually it will be something like accepted, but accepted also we would have learned certain thing, and next time it may be helpful. So are we capturing that? So there should be a tool as well, not only in the board, but there should be a tool where we will be capturing certain plans and some tentative dates for the closure, and the action owners, respective action owners. So this will be for these 6 months. And in course of time, like second sprint, you are coming up with one more new risk. Okay, fine. Add those risks as well. Add the action owner, add the date, and put it in the right quadrant and start monitoring that risk, whether there is a change in the status or how it is progressing. So this is the whole way in the way of sprint, as in the way of safe, we used to manage the risk. And ideally, there should be a tool which should capture everything. It is also good practice, if there is a risk or a dependency, always create a work item, place it under some placeholder. It may be like extra task or something. In every sprint you can have that placeholder. These all items like retrospective action items, how you will take care, like 3 priority items you will pull and you will be taking action on that. Similar to that, these kind of dependencies, these kind of risk, you should create some task, so that you will be knowing, okay, this person is working. And it is also good practice, and its transparency is maintained, because you will be having this work item on the board, so that everyone knows, okay, oh, this is what is happening. Oh, okay, this is the risk. Even it may not be relevant to the current sprint, because always dependencies will come in the next or next sprint, but proactively we need to kill all the dependencies whatever we have, to ensure that we are not dependent on any other item, so that our execution will be smooth. Same way with risk also. So have the practice of adding it in the backlog of sprint, so that we will be able to take some actions, and it is also good practice to discuss with the team as part of the daily stand-up meeting at the end.
Okay, okay, great. Thank you so much. So as a Scrum Master, he also performed this duty of doing the risk analysis, right? Uh, so based on your explanation, right? So practically, the Scrum Master does the risk analysis, and you taught the ways we can do it effectively.
Yeah, and it is not only owned by Scrum Master, it should be owned by team as well. But the facilitation, again, it's like the team driven activity, because as a Scrum Master, I may not be able to identify all the technical risk, or I may not be able to identify all the integration related risk that we have with other teams. So we should put it in with the team as well, like what are the risk that we are able to see as a part of program execution. So it is like a kind of like collaborative effort from PO, from Scrum Master, from team, so that everyone will be able to share their own points with their own portfolio, what they are feeling that these are the potential risks that we can actually right now forecast.
I was coming to that point, and glad you explained that, because Scrum Master facilitates, right? But it is up to the team. So we rightly mentioned it should be a collaborative effort between the team members and the Scrum Master. It's a shared responsibility.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe as a Scrum Master, like the Scrum Master will be updating in the tool about the status, and the Scrum Master will be tracking on whether the action owner is able to move with the planned risk mitigation plan actions, or is there any blocker on that. So for all those things as a whole, like how we are able to understand with the sprint execution how things are moving. Similarly, these things also are going to help us in our future sprint backlog items. So as a Scrum Master, definitely we will be looking on the items, what are the things as actions we are working. But definitely identification is not only for Scrum Master, it is for the whole team, so that we will be able to fill all the gaps, both from technical point of view, execution point of view, and product management point of view, all the things, because risk can be in any place. Like we are unable to see a product roadmap after this release. It is also a kind of like risk. What is next in our product? After version 1, what is next? Version 2, why we are not initiating? So this risk may help us to actually identify some kind of roadmap by initiating some talk with the business team. So for all those things also, this may not be available with the team or maybe with Scrum Master. This information should come from PO, because PO is the person who has a direct connect with the business team, and to understand, okay, what is the product roadmap that we are looking. Definitely Scrum Master also should initiate and trigger these kind of questions. Okay, what is next in our product? Okay, this PA is done. Next to PA, what you are going to start, when you are going to start with the refinement. So that time, no, I'm not so clear with the product roadmap. Let's put that as a risk. If it is going to be realized, I don't have a sufficient backlog. What is next for our next PA is going to handle what? So those kind of things also we can initiate. So it is like overall, everyone, if we sit and collaboratively come up with all these risk items, it will be really a fruitful outcome, that we will be able to identify all the branches which actually we are working with, and identify the respective risk on those.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Just to add, yeah, Arun.
Go ahead.
No, Arun, go ahead. No problem.
Lalit, I keep hearing from you that theoretically it is fine, but practically like that. So see, if you don't really believe in the theory of Agile and Scrum, right, there is no point in actually following Agile. You need to have that belief and the mindset in that, Lalit. If you start thinking that, okay, that is only theory, it may not work in practice, then that is not the way, right? So you are just doing project management, you are just calling it Agile, that's all. But you don't believe in Agile, the way of working, it seems.
No, I sorry, and I didn't mean that. I believe in the theory, but the only thing is, maybe the limitation or in the organization or the way that they are working or they have been working, right? They are not practicing 100% agile. Okay, so that is why I wanted to relate, what are the potential problems that I see, right now, because see, again, I'm using the last thing, maybe I'll be using the word theoretical, because when I read the when I was doing the Scrum and I went through all the documents, right? So everything makes sense to me, right? It was step by step, okay, and it makes sense to me. But when we work, right? But I could see some of the problems, right? I could see, and I'm more curious to know that how you guys cater in the real world. So that is why I keep on saying. But trust me, I have 100% trust on the agile theory, and nothing like that. To be honest.
No, but if you say something is not correct, or it is not it's against your belief, then you need to find out why that is happening, right? Because see, again, what I see is it's more like project management and trying to call it agile. So I want to, yeah, understand that part of it. Sorry, go ahead, Madhi.
No, I was just trying to tell my experience. I mean, in terms of the risk, which we do normally. See, we do more of integration project with customers. So always the network connectivity and the dependency, all these factors are a risk for us. So during that time, what we do is whenever we get the network connectivity is not maintained, or the connection is lost, so we always have a second. I mean, we will always have a second priority items which is there in our list. So we pick up those items and start working on those parameters. So we always plan something which I mean, when the risk occurs, what is the next plan? So accordingly, the team will pick up what is there in the list and start working on those things. So that's from my experience or example. So any other questions we can discuss on?
Yeah, Rajesh here. Like, I just joined in the between. I missed the question, but when you said when something risk occurs, like you work on what is possible the next minute, right?
Yeah, Rajesh. I mean, we were discussing on I mean, the question was, are we considering risk in Agile? So that was a question, and I mean, Selvi was giving some giving the explanation. So I was giving my experience. So we are all discussing practical practical. What are we doing it in our organization?
Okay. But the thing is, like, coming to your point, like when a risk occurs, that means like you are unable to do something, right?
Yeah.
In that situation, you told that, correct me if I'm wrong, you told that you will look into the next item which you can work on. Is my understanding right?
Yeah, Rajesh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in this case, you are making a fallback procedure, yeah, where you can mitigate the risk to meet the timelines. Is my understanding right?
Rajesh, the team will be ideal. I mean, see, when I said connectivity,
I completely agree. I completely agree.
Yeah.
I'm coming there only.
Yeah.
You will be working on or to meet the timelines or risk in terms of utilizing the resources, right?
Correct. Yeah.
But you are definitely missing the value delivery. Is my understanding right?
See, I'll be working on the solving this connectivity issue or any other risk which is occurred, but I will make sure the team is engaging on See, the connectivity which I'm talking about, it can last for, in my experience, I've seen the connectivity, once the connectivity lasts, it may take months also. I'm talking about the worst case scenario. So in that 1 month time, I cannot make my team idle. So if it is immediate connectivity, because it is depending on the client end. So in my scenario, my experience, I've seen it is happening 1 day time, or maximum even 3 months also it has took us sometimes to we actually knock off that project and took the other project.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
But Mati, like my question is like you have a team of 6 people. So are you going? So the complete team is going to shift from the task which you are doing to a new task, or it will be a partial team members will be working on that risk factor?
See,
Because again, we need to mitigate that risk. Actually, we need to come up with some solutions.
Yeah, I mean, see, I will be parallelly working on mitigating those risk. I mean, the connectivity team cannot be idle. See, when the connectivity is lost, say for example, I'm working with a client. Take for example, you are a client, so I'm working with your team. So the connectivity lost, both the network team will work on those connectivity. Okay, not the team, not my development team or testing team need to. Will not be involved in any of these network connectivity issues. Okay, when the parallelly, if these two network teams are working on, why the other development team should be idle?
Okay,
I will wait for 1 day. I mean, see, I will wait for 1 day, 2 day, but not beyond that, right? I mean, so like I said, I have some experience. So based on that, I have to take a call as a Scrum Master. I have to take the next step.
So it depends on the criticality, how much it's impacting you or your team actually. If it is impacting your team 100%, then you need to take some solution. If it is not impacting your team with 100%, the risk is there, then you can switch to a different task which can be done. And in the meantime, the task on the risk factor which you are being impacted actually, that will be taken care of by some other team which is responsible for the task.
Yeah, that's how we are following. I mean, depending on the situation and the time period it takes to resolve those issues. And nobody will be able to give a correct number. I mean, say for example, if the problem has occurred, they will not be able to tell me commit and say that okay, it will take 2 days, 5 days.
Yeah.
They will give the time, but even it has went beyond their control. So we always made sure that okay, we will wait for. I mean, we just put a SLA. Okay, 1 day or 2 day, not beyond that. If it is going beyond that, we will work on the next action item. Whenever the connectivity is established and it is working fine, we again test for 1 day. We will not again jump into the previous one. We will test for 1 day, leave it idle. The testing will happen, will be done by the networking team. When they give us a second confirmation, then we will go back to the one which we were working on. Yeah.
I faced the same issue long time back, so I can correlate.
Yeah. So anyone else wants to share your live example on risk management?
So for us, like every day from 1 to 3, our applications goes down actually. Okay. And no one was aware, like, what is the reason? Someone from the backend used to run some script. We were not able to identify. And this issue was there for around 1 year. So we came with the same solution, like for that particular duration, we are not going to work on that particular task, which we need actually. The application is required. We are going to migrate on some other task, which is not dependent on the UI actually. Okay. So we came with the same solution.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone have any other case study to discuss on the risk management side?
So do you publish your risk on the Jira board or some other application?
We have our tool, it's called internal EPPM tool, which is developed by Clarity. So that's where we actually publish those risk. Okay, if nobody is having anything to share on the risk side, in the interest of time, maybe we can close.
I have a small doubt. Maybe it will be useful for my current situation. So regarding a risk, no. So we are in a discovery phase. So suppose if we are expecting some information about the next module, what we are going to develop from the client end, but they didn't update us what we have to do. They didn't give us the requirement. So we are still in the first phase of developing the requirement, and we need the additional requirement to be uh, informed to us so that we will work on that. So this will come under the dependency, or this will come under the risk. For example, if we are developing a first module and it is if one first module is done, we will be go ahead with the second module. So we didn't get any requirement till now for the second module from the client side. So will it come under the dependency or it will be a risk?
For our project, we use the risk factor actually, but different sort of levels, L1, L2, L3. Okay, so initially, if I see like there's a dependency which can be moved to a risk level also, I can give it a low level risk factor. But once I see like it's we are moving further, but the solution is not coming up, then I will be going to raise the level of the risk. In that case.
So basically, it will be the low risk, right? Not the
Yeah,
dependency.
because risk is again a part of dependency is a part of risk actually. Okay, if you're not able to mitigate or if you're not removing the dependency, then it's going to move to a risk factor only. So as I said, we are keeping it low risk, and then it's going to move to the next level. And once it is at high level, everyone is going to look at that and then to resolve it in any case.
Okay.
But
Okay.
Magesh, what is the probability of that happening, Magesh? Because
Yeah.
risk is something where you cannot say with 100% certainty that something will happen. If you have 100% certainty that something will happen, it cannot be considered as a risk. So in this case, tell me.
No. No, actually, this is right. It is an uncertain situation, but still they were committed. Like the second module will be explained to us within 2 weeks of time, but it's been 3 weeks, but they didn't tell us anything about that. So I have just updated tentatively as dependency, but I need a clarification whether it would be the risk, since they have given the timeline of 2 weeks, but still it is keep on delaying. But still we didn't complete the first module. That is a different part. But when they ask us to go ahead with the user stories of second module as soon as they explain, then we need some time, right? So that is what I'm thinking, whether it could be the risk or it will be the dependency until they explain the second module how it works.
Won't that be a dependency? As you mentioned, would that be a dependency because you're dependent on certain thing, and that is leading to a project risk, right? If my understanding is correct. I think if you're trying to segregate between either it is a dependency or is it a risk, I think my takeaway is, it is a dependency, and because of that dependency, we have a project risk. My project or my upcoming iteration will not be as per the plan, and because I have a dependency. I mean, that is my personal view.
Okay. Suppose another scenario where they were expecting the complete user story should be derived for the first module within so and so date. For example, before September 10th, the complete user story has to be in the product backlog for the first module. So if we are in that phase, it is an assumption that we can complete it in September 10. When it will be changed as a risk. Suppose if it is nearing September 10 or if it is crosses September 10, it will be a high level risk, or how it would be.
No, as soon as you find out there is a chance of some event happening. So in this case, the risk is you not being able to finish the agreed or accepted work within that particular date, right? That is
Right.
the risk. Okay.
Right.
So that is the risk. It's not about the what do you say here. Here there is nothing about uh, dependency or anything. So the risk is you may not be able to finish in particular time. So you start what you say. If possible, you find out what is the percentage of that happening. So if it is well ahead, maybe 6 months in advance, then you will not be very sure, right? If the work may get over within 6 months, may not get over within 6 months. So you may not be very sure. So as you keep going towards the date only, you will have a better idea of how much you have finished or how much you have not finished.
Right.
So in that way, the risk is something that will keep on changing, right?
Okay, so you mean to say until September 10th deadline, we never know that we can complete, we can derive all the user stories based on the module, but they have asked us to do that. So if we couldn't complete all the user story, if we couldn't take...
No, Magesh, see, you are making one big sentence with a lot of if, but, so all those things. Okay, so you need to split them into small things. So first thing is, you have to finish some work within a certain date. Okay, one statement.
Right.
Then for doing this within certain date, you are expecting something, some information from somebody. Now that is a dependency because you are dependent on them. Okay. Okay, now with this dependency, there comes two risks. One risk, they are not able to give you whatever you want. That is one risk. Second risk is you are not able to finish the work even after they give you.
Right. That's
okay,
correct.
so probably if you split the dependency and the risk down, then you can probably think more on that. Okay, so the first risk is they not being able to give whatever they have to give you. So that you need to see whether they are, how trusted they are, how they have worked with you previously, were they able to give it on time previously. So and also now you'll be working with them maybe weekly or daily. So how does it feel? Will they be able to give you in time? Based on that, you will have some idea about the risk in your mind. Okay, if you can put it in a number, it's fine. Otherwise, you know whether they'll be able to give it or not. So based on that, you have to handle that particular risk.
Okay. I got it. Yeah.
Like if you can split up and tell, right, then it will be easy for us to actually understand and probably suggest something.
No, the previous thing is different, where they want to give us the clarification on what is the workflow of second module. So they told it will be done in 2 weeks, but it's been 3 weeks. They didn't inform anything about that. The second thing is they have already given the workflow.
First thing, Magesh, when we are working with Agile, right? We need to, if we have some dependency, at least weekly once or twice, somehow you need to keep interacting with that team to find out where you are. So that's the whole point of Agile, right? We want to collaborate as much as possible so that we are all in sync. So
right.
If after 3 weeks also they are not giving, then something is seriously in a wrong place. So yeah, go ahead, Magesh.
Yeah. So I have just updated when they told us it will be given in 2 weeks. I have just updated in the dependency of dependency column that I have updated, but still it's been 3 weeks. So I wanted to know whether it will change as risk or not. The second thing is for the first module, they have already given all the requirement and workflow and everything is ready. Now we are into readiness of product backlog for the first module. So they have given a deadline of September 10, which we have to derive all the all the user stories which comes up with the requirement. If we couldn't make it before September 10th, how it would be? It would be the high level risk, or as of now, it's an assumption that we can complete it in September 10th. So will it be changed as a risk in future, or
No, again, see, Magesh, risk is something that has not yet occurred. Okay, it is something that's going to occur in the future. So if somebody is supposed to give you something in 2 weeks and it is 3 weeks gone, it is no longer a risk. Okay, the risk in that case was them not giving you. So which is already happened. They did not give you in 2 weeks. So it's no more a risk. It is a occurred event.
no. That particular scenario is different. This scenario is different. We already have all the requirement for the first module. Now we are in a phase of creating a user story. We are in a phase of creating a product backlog with the user stories. So now we couldn't complete the user story within the timeline what they have given. Will that be in a risk in future if it crossed after time?
That's what I think. Okay, I'm not clear in the risk portion. I think risk is an event. How much you believe an event can occur or not. That is the risk. Okay, so in this case, finishing by that time or not, that is the risk. Okay.
Okay.
So
okay.
Right now, if you have say enough time in the future for you to believe that you have finished, you can complete work based on your experience in the past. Okay, you know how your team has worked so long. Maybe for 2 weeks or 1 month or 2 months, you have worked with your team. You know how good they are in estimating, and when they say they will be able to finish something, does it mean they are really having the capability to finish, or they will not be able to finish? All this you should be having an idea by now. So from now, you should kind of see, okay, last 1 month, people, my team was able to do these things. Now remaining is this much to be done in next 1 month. Do I believe they can do it? So that is a confidence level you have and your team has based on how you have been working on the past, right? Based on your experience, that is the confidence level you are having. So based on that, you have to. Sorry. Go ahead, Gunjan.
Sorry, you please.
So based on that, you have to take a call whether you'll be able to finish it or not. So.
But here the challenging thing is everyone is new. It's a new team. That's a reason.
Mahesh, I feel you are already in a risk factor because you already had this question in your mind, and even your team is having. Okay.
Right.
So normally, if you are in the middle of the sprint and then you feel like you have some issues, then it's a risk factor. But before that, only when you are starting some task and you already are in a mindset like whether you can achieve it or not, it means like you are going to fail for sure. 99% chances will be of failing of the task. Okay, because from the very first day you committed more than what you can do actually somewhere. That's why you are thinking about all these things like dependencies and risk factors.
Okay.
So in that case, I think you should try to track with your team, like what are the commitments you have done. You need to, I think, identify what can be removed from that task, which is not higher prioritized, which can be a part of MVP only. And then you can proceed to next level. Then you can try to see what we can improve in that task and how we can improve the productivity also, which client is asking from there.
Exactly. That is called being agile, right, Makesh? So you found something like Gunjan, it will not work out. You share it to your customer, share it to your team, and see, like you told, what scope can be removed from the product or what can be changed. So.
Okay. Fine then. Then
see, if your organization and your customer believe in agile, then you should be able to have a smooth discussion with all parties involved to find out how to move further.
Right.
The other way which you can do is like, if you know, like you have this risk factor, okay, raise a low risk factor, okay, and the solution is the organization is not going to support you anywhere. Okay, this is how it's worked. Okay, if you're working with a vendor if you're working from a vendor for some product based or whatever the model you're working on, okay, if you feel like no one is going to help you, raise a low level risk and try to come up with the high prioritized requirements which they need to achieve. Okay, In this way, what you are going to do, you are already highlighting the risk factor, but again, from your end, you are coming with the solution which can be beneficial to the stakeholders as well. And then when you feel like you were able to achieve 80% of the task, which is required actually out of 100, then you can showcase to them like we tried with our solutions, we came up with this plan, and initially we shared a risk factor also. Okay. Because if you have a risk, you need to come up with a plan as well. Okay. So
Right.
for that, you need to discuss within the team what you can do.
Okay. Okay. So that would be the daily progress that I have to do with the team.
Yeah, try to do
achieve
it
it,
on
yeah.
daily basis. Okay. We can't just talk today and then after a week we are discussing on the same task. Okay. It's not we are not improving anywhere actually.
Right. Okay. Okay. Fine. Then I'll follow this. At least for this week, and I'll get a conclusion. I mean, what can be done in the next week. Let me follow this.
And Gunjan and Arun, one more thing, like the situation that Makesh has explained, and Arun rightly said that risk is something when it has not happened. But right now, looking at his situation, soon after, they completed the 2 weeks and it was the start of first day of the third week. I think they are already in the consequence of the risk, or maybe, they have started getting the impact. So wouldn't it be a great idea to explain the impact also? Because now they have crossed that time period. Now they are facing the impact and the best they can do with leftover time. In addition to,
obviously the impact analysis should be there actually. Okay. And when we are doing the risk analysis, we are going to mention the impact, what is going to be impacted if we are not able to mitigate that risk actually. And your statement is totally correct, and I am with you, because they are into now third week and they never shared this risk factor. Okay.
Right.
So it should have been like, if they got delayed, they should have done in the second week somewhere. But now it's already been delayed. So there will be a question like why your team was not able to identify this risk actually. So you need to come up with that discussion also internally.
Right, because Makesh is continuously asking when I should be raising the risk, right? At what point? I think that time has gone, Makesh. I mean, unfortunately, right now you need to share the impact and you need to replan, right? So might be during the second week, maybe like Arun mentioned that in Agile, it is more of collaboration. So you always need to get in touch with your internal stakeholders, right? That where we are, right? Might be some follow-ups that are we ready, with this due date or something, right? So they can give you some idea that we are 60% and 70% done. Obviously, see, you can always relate to whatever time that is left and the progress you have made in order to understand whether we are able to do that in a particular time or not, right? If 50% of the time has elapsed and they have done just 20%, you can see that some risk is appearing, right? And if 90% time is elapsed and they are done 90%, I think things are on track. So that is one way I look at when I try to map the progress of and whether I will be able to deliver or achieve the milestones. We need to see the early warning signals and raise the alarm as soon as it can be, right? But right now, I don't think it's not a risk time. It is rather the replanning and impact analysis and those kind of thing, as per me.
Okay.
Because you are already suffering actually.
Right. And someone rightly mentioned there are very less chances of being successful because you're already under so much of pressure, right? There is a 1 week delay. You estimated with some logic, right? You said that 3 weeks you would need. Right now you are already 30% or 33% of the time is already left, right? You need to complete 100% and 60% of the time, and consider the three factors like scope is fixed, time is fixed. Now you might need to play with the quality, right? We cannot have all the three pillars static, right? So if they need the quality, they need to reduce the scope or they need to give you additional time. But if they say that, okay, scope is this because we have committed to the client, time is fixed, we cannot go ahead, then again, boss, the quality is something that might suffer, and you may need to do you may need to adopt a analysis risk-based testing strategy basis on the likelihood, the impact of the user stories or the story points.
Let me share you one example. It's a live example. Okay, I had to share some hot rocks within my team, like to my manager today. Okay, and I was being asked by him last Friday. So what I did, I reached out to my to my SMEs, the stakeholders. I told them, please share the hot rocks or the impediments you are facing. Okay, so I can take it to the next level. On the first day, I didn't keep my manager in the loop, okay, because I thought it's a one-to-one should be there, okay. So I drop a mail to them, but there was no reply. So on the very first day, I didn't saw a reply in the evening. So again, this is a risk because I'm not sure whether the second time also they are going to reply me back or not, okay. So what I did today, I drop a mail to them, keeping my manager in the CC, okay. So the first thing is my manager is already aware that there is a risk, like because of this failure, something is going to impact later on, okay. And keeping my manager, it gives a confidence to me, like if there is some issue, he's going to support me in that case. Okay, so keep your risk visible to everyone who is connected with that task actually.
And most of the projects do not fail because of planning, Mukesh. Most of the projects fail because we don't raise the risk at the right time. You know, we show the project as green, and all of a sudden red. But you know, logically, project goes from green to yellow status, and then it goes from yellow to red, right? So you need to be very cautious and very, look at the early warning signals, so that you're able to raise the risk, potential risk, as soon as it can be. And if horizontal conversation is not working, go for a vertical conversation. Because the best you can do is you can raise it. You are not the Superman. You cannot handle each and every situation, right? If they are, if the developers didn't do the development in the right time, you cannot do anything, right? You can just do the maximum within that leftover time, right? You cannot take everything on your shoulder and say that, okay, quality will also be 100%, scope will be also 100%, and time within timeline. So always say no. Raise the risk and try to come up with the factors, that will be impacting. Don't say yes every time, else everything will be on.
Okay. I got it. I'll follow this, Lalit. Thank you so much, Gunjan. Thank you, Arun.
Okay, guys. I think we are beyond the time. I mean, it's okay, but good discussion, and we will see tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.